Hey guys, welcome back to the Camera Junkie podcast. Today I want to talk about a little bit about this Sony FX-3 that was just announced last week, and kind of talk about some of the reasons why I think this is a really great camera, and who I think it's kind of for. Now I think there's kind of been a lot of a lot of the YouTubers out there that have got access to this camera already, like your typical ones that get access to the Sony and cameras and stuff before the rest of us do. I thought the videos were kind of like lackluster, and I get it why it was lackluster because most of these guys already had the A7S Mark III, and it's basically the same camera, so I get that. I understand. So in this video, I want to talk about why I think this camera might be right for you and kind of talk about some more, I guess, like positivities about it. So I think this is kind of designed because, in my opinion, in today's world, I think that, and I've said this multiple times in other areas, that video sells the camera world in today's world. And what I mean by that is, I don't think too many camera companies would exist today if all the cameras did was take photos. I do believe that. I mean, because I think that, in today's world, there's so many people out there that are just like, well, this is good enough. And a lot of times, like, for instance, Canon like Rebels and more point and shoot cameras, kind of kept the camera world kind of floating, I guess. That's not to say professional photographers buying full frame professional cameras wasn't kind of always a big deal, but I think in today's world, like when you go to buy, when you want to upgrade your camera, I think that, if you've got, for instance, an A7 III that's coming out, or an A7 III. Say you got an A7 III and all you do is take photos. When the A7 IV comes out, if you're going to ask me you should buy it, I'm probably going to say, the A7 III is plenty, or the A7C is plenty for your photographies, for straight up photography. But if if you do nothing but video and you have an A7 III, should I upgrade to the A7 IV? I mean, the rumor has it that that's going to be a pretty badass video camera, and you're probably going to want to upgrade to it. A7S III, A7S Mark II, should I buy if I have an A7S Mark II, should I buy an A7S Mark III? I think that's a no-brainer. If you had a A7R Mark II, should you upgrade to the A7R Mark III? I will give you the fact that you should upgrade to the A7R Mark IV if all you do is photography, but the A7R Mark II and the Mark III, they both have 42 megapixel sensors. I think with video editing and stuff, these are photo editing, capabilities these days. I don't think it would have been beneficial for anybody to upgrade to that. If you're a photographer and you had an A7 II, should you upgrade to the A7 Mark III? No, I don't think so. If all you do is photo. So I think that video kind of runs the world. So when you look at this, I think this camera is for somebody, and this is a great idea in my opinion, if you're like a small business or something like that, right? And you're thinking about, and I think this is a great idea. I think media. I think video kind of just runs. I mean, if you're not doing video right now, you're going to be behind the if you got a business and you're not making your own video, I almost think it's almost irresponsible if you have your own business and you don't have a YouTube channel to go with it. Because that's free advertising. You don't have to pay anything for it, right? If you're a small business and you want to make a commercial, right? How much is that commercial going to cost you? Because you're going to have to bring a video production crew in. That's going to cost you a ton of money. Who's going to edit and all that stuff, film it, edit, upgrade. They're going to bring in some high-profile cameras, some badass cameras, right? And then of course you've got to pay cable TV stations or even local stations to play your videos, which is going to be quite expensive. I mean you're looking at thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for one commercial, for one. You go buy a high quality video camera like the Sony FX-3. It's $3,800, $3,900 for that camera. You buy an XLR microphone, there's another like $100, $150. A cable is another $10. You're in this thing for $4,100, $4,200. A tripod, maybe $4,300. You're in this thing for $4,300. That's less, and you can make as many videos as you want. I think that I mean, there's nothing wrong with like something like an A7 III to make those videos. But if you're truly trying to do something professional looking, I think you're gonna have to upgrade to like an A7S Mark III and an A7 or FX3. And what I mean by this is, when I look at the FX3, I'm thinking $3,800 or $3,900. You have the XLR adapter in the box. A7S Mark III is $3,500, and then you want the XLR adapter, you're looking at $50 or $550. So you're looking at your $4,000, a little over $4,000 for the same thing, basically the same setup, other than getting the EVF and stuff like that. So I think for your business, I think this is a really great camera. Another thing is, a lot of these, I know a few business owners, and they're not going to go into anything kind of half-assed. They're going to go into it big time, right? So the intimidation factor is my number 2. You look at something like the FX6, the FS9, the FS7, or the FS5. You're looking at that, or even like a Red, or Z-Cam, something along those lines, the new Panasonic BGH1. These are like cinema level cameras, and you're gonna make great content with these things, right? But there's a lot of buttons on these things, and I'm speaking in kind of like a not so in layman's terms, I guess. There's a lot of buttons and dials and switches and on these things, and it takes a lot of work to kind of learn this thing, and you can't just flip the switch on and hit the record button and one of them cameras and get high quality video out of it. You're gonna have to actually know what the hell you're doing. And that's not to say with the FX3 or not, but there's a lot less buttons and switches on the FX3. So right out of the box, I think it's a much easier to use camera. I think the menu system is going to be a lot easier to use than just the whole camera. It's going to be an imitate. And I'm not talking about people who are seasoned filmmakers. I'm talking about people who don't know much about cameras. You know what I mean? But they aren't trying to get in at the lowest level. You know what I mean? They're trying to get in and make high quality video right now. Which leads me to my third. So typically, when you're looking at cinema level cameras, a lot of them don't have an autofocus system in them. A lot of them don't have, or if they do, they're not good, and they're not designed to, because if you're a filmmaker, you can't rely, especially in a professional setting, you can't rely on autofocus, because yes, they're Sony and Canon make great autofocus, but it's still not 100% accurate. You're not always going to be exactly, focused on what you want to be focused on. So a lot of these guys, and it's an art form to be able to manual focus. But this camera has got a state of the art autofocus system in it. It's gonna have the best system in the game, right? So that's important, I think, to some people who are kind of just starting out, that may not want to manual focus. Maybe you're shooting yourself in some situations. Maybe you're a one-man business. Like I said before, I think if you own a business and you don't have a YouTube channel, that's, in my opinion, it's irresponsible, because that's free advertisement. You don't have to pay anything to get a YouTube channel. Literally anybody can have a YouTube channel. If you have a Gmail account, you have a YouTube channel, technically. It's really quite simple to set up a YouTube channel. So I think that it like I said, it's irresponsible of you to not have a YouTube channel. I think that's an important thing. So I think autofocus is something that is kind of important. And like I said, it's not going to be important to every single person who's going to buy this camera, because there's probably going to be a lot of people who are going to buy this as a second camera. Somebody who's got a FX6 or an FX9 that wants a small running gun type thing, and they're looking at something like the A7S Mark III, but that doesn't really have the, it's going to be cheaper technically to get the XLR. Chances are, if you got an FX3, an FX6 or an FX9, you probably already have XLR microphones. So the fact that it doesn't come with one in the box, it's not that big of a deal to you, most likely. And I don't think that too many people that I follow use the XLR mic that's actually in the box. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that most of the people, it's got like small cable on it. For scratch audio, that's fine. But it's got like a 6-inch or 8-inch cable or something like that. So if your subject is more than 8 inches away from your camera, you know, it's kind of useless. And my fourth thing is the lens situation. So, I mean, you want to compare this thing to something like the Canon C70. It's some of the kind of like run and gun, point and shoot. It looks kind of like a DSLR, but it's actually a, you know, mirrorless cinema camera. You know, that camera, even though Canon does make really great autofocus, that camera doesn't have that great of autofocus in it. I've seen a lot of videos where people are like, you know, this thing misses. I've seen some autofocus tests on it. It's not as good as Canon's like dual pixel or typical dual pixel autofocus. I mean, I'm not saying it's terrible, but it's not as good. And I think Sony's FX-3 is as good as anything you know that they put out. It's good as the A7S3. It's good as, you know, the A7R4. It's as good as the A7, you know, A7 III. Better than the A7 III. My fourth thing is the lenses. And I say this because, you know, Sony makes, for a full frame system, there are so many third-party lenses that are really great, from Sigma, from Tamron. I'm on a Tamron 28-200 right now, and it's a really sharp, it's a really great lens. Tamron makes great lenses, 17-28. I've had that before. It's a good one. Sigma makes some really great lenses. The next lens I actually want to get is going to be the same lens I used to have for my Panasonic, which is the 14-24 f2.8 Sigma lens. But man, so many great lenses. And if you really want to, I mean, start out, you know, you want to buy your first camera. You know, when you look at something like the C70 or something like that, who has the RF mount, you know, there's some great lenses there, but there's nothing third party. So like if you're just, I'm trying to buy today, right? And all I have is maybe $5,000 on me, you know, to spend today, right now, $5,000. I can get I can get that camera and a pretty decent lens. And I don't think you sure can't get that with the C70. You could probably get that with like the, you know, what is it called? The, Blackmagic Pocket 4K, 6K, and 6K Pro that just came out. You could probably get that with those for $5,000. Obviously, the 6K Pro is only $2,500. That's great. I'm gonna do another video on that one too separately. I think these lenses are your options. I mean, you're looking at full frame versus APS-C. I don't really want to go there with that because I think the Pocket 6K is a pretty good low light situation, but. You know, I was actually yesterday spent a little bit of time, and I was like, man, the Pocket 6K is really going to be a great camera. I honestly wouldn't mind getting it for this channel, to shoot stuff on this channel, and actually shoot stuff in the future, because I do like that camera comes with like a external power source in the box, so I can literally just let it sit up somewhere and just record all day if I had enough media. Obviously, that camera takes, you know, a lot of media, but I mean, you can go buy a Samsung T5 drive that's like a terabyte or something like that, or maybe even 2 terabytes. I don't know how big they make them now, but and just go and record, you know, nonstop, not necessarily for, you know, a couple hours, I guess, depending on what frame rate or what bit rate and stuff you're going to be shooting in. But yeah, anyways, I really like this camera. I do like the FX-3. I think it's going to be a really great camera, and I'm going to recommend it, especially I'm about to go back to the United States. I don't live in the United States right now, but I'm about to move back to the United States. Anybody I know that's got like a small business or something like that, that's one thing that I'm going to be working on, I think, while I'm there, is kind of convincing some people who have small businesses that might be interested in, you know, growing their business, because I think YouTube is such a great idea. And I would definitely recommend, and I'm going to recommend to a lot of people that they start making YouTube videos and make a YouTube channel for their business. I think it's a great idea. You're a real estate agent, something like that too. So anyways, that's about it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. Thank y'all for watching. I hope y'all hope you hit that subscribe button, and then we'll see you guys in the next one. Later.